Well, welcome everybody to week 2 of our online program for the alumni of the Sunshine Coast Health Center, week 2 of October. And this month's theme is on purpose in life. And we're just going to give you a few ideas, maybe inspire you or spark something in your imagination. And I hope that works, because one of the keys to finding purpose in life is to try to imagine what your future is. And we do this all the time here at the center. We'll typically ask a client, well, what do you imagine yourself being like in the future? Like, what does your life look like? And one fellow I remember was saying, well, you know, I imagine just being with my kids and their smiling faces, and we're having so much fun, and that will give me this purpose in life to be a good father, and things will be great. And I'm thinking, well, you know, those cute little kids who are like 2 and 3 right now, they're going to grow up to be teenagers. And what happens when they don't have that nice smiley face anymore? It seemed to shake them up. Like you could see, you know, this thought was happening to them, right? And this is one of the things that we notice here at the center, that a lot of people in early recovery, basically, they really suck at imagining their future. And a lot of this, that we believe, is actually based in the addictive lifestyle. Jeff Singer, a psychologist down in the States, wrote a wonderful book called Message in a Bottle. And he talks about this coping skill that a lot of addicts use. And he calls it one of the most famous and most basic ones, and that is what he calls the F it attitude. So for example, I don't know, you're in the bar and you plan to only have 2 beers and that's it, because you know you get into trouble. You know, every time you have 6 beers, right, you get into a fight and end up in the drunk tank or something. But life, anyway, life's going to screw up. So you go in there fully planning to have 2 beers, then you have 2 beers, and then you say, well, F it, I'll do it tomorrow. And then you go get drunk, get in a fight, get thrown in the drunk tank. This F it attitude is one of the most fundamental coping skills for addiction. And what it basically boils down to is the person really doesn't think very much of themselves. And then a lot of times, in fact, they don't even think of their future. And they may not even believe they have a future. I mean, I've met addicts who are absolutely amazed they live past the age of 25. And when they have this attitude, they're just basically existing, right? Because there is no real future to them. And they fully expect to be dead by the time they're 30. And they're just totally amazed that if they make it to 31. But there's no thought about themselves, no thought about what they want, which obviously is going to be pretty important if you're trying to find purpose in life. And a lot of these things about the addictive lifestyle, like, really stop people from imagining their future. They're much more interested in this just immediate thing. And then, I don't know, something will happen somehow, and then my future will unfold as it should. But they're not really paying a lot of attention to it. And this shows up all the time in this center. I mean, Kathy and I, Kathy runs the family program, we're sitting with a client just a couple of weeks ago, and we asked him the question, like, in your perfect world, perfect, like, money's not an object, nothing's an object, what kind of life would you like? And honestly, he was stumped. In fact, he was not merely stumped, he came up with about 6 excuses why that was a waste of time to even think about. Oh yeah, I got bills to pay, I couldn't live it even if I wanted to, so what's the point? In other words, and this is a fairly common thing, like, people in early recovery really struggle to imagine what their future's like. And yet, you have to appreciate that if you want to find a purpose in life, your calling, or whatever you want to call it, it's probably a good idea to start attempting to visualize what kind of life you actually want. So at any rate, this is something I would encourage you to think about and to reflect on seriously, and not have any sort of simplistic little notions that, oh, I just see my smiley kids' faces and everything's great. No, life is a little more complicated than that. And so imagine, like, take some time and just reflect on what kind of life you would want to lead, because you need some place to go to, some target that you can start making goals to get to, start accomplishing these smaller steps in order to get the bigger goals. So you got to really keep an eye on your future. Sort of the idea is live in the present, but keep an eye on the future. At any rate, that's this week's online program, and as usual, you have the written portion. And I was going to mention, now I just remembered it, that if you have any ideas for the online program, yeah, feel free to email me. Right, you all know my email. And yeah, we'll address them. Okay, so in any case, we'll see you next week with a new principle for finding purpose in life.